Hey guys, how are you doing? Miss seeing you guys. I'm recording this video today so we can move on to our next lesson. I'm still a bit under the weather. So we're going to move on to the next section. And after you watch the video, you're going to start your homework. Whatever you don't finish then is for homework tonight. The nice thing about this video is you can pause it when you have a question or whatnot. You can write down notes. So I do expect you to write notes. So the very first thing that I want to talk about, just as a recollection, is what we've been doing over the last few days and solving multi-step equations. So there's 5 steps to solving multi-step equations. The first one is to distribute. So if you ever see distribution in a problem, you got to do that first. You can't do anything else until you do that. The second is to combine like terms, and that is when they're on the same side. Okay, move all integers to one side is step 3. Move all variables, to the other side is step 4, and then finally isolate, or what we like to call solve the variable. So that's just a recall to remember what we did over the last several class periods, okay? What we're doing today, we're going to continue with that same idea, but we're going to throw things around a little bit. We're going to add another level to this. And so 3.3 talks about solving equations with variables on both sides. So we haven't seen those yet. So we're going to explore that right now. So we're going to go right into an example. So again, make sure you're taking notes on all this stuff. And, you know, whatever you need to do, if you need to email me if you have a question, or, you know, send me a message via Google Classroom, make sure you're doing those things, okay? Not a lot of people are asking questions at this point. But I am available even though I'm not there. Anyhow, so our first example is 7n minus 5 equals 10n plus 13. So if you notice the difference here, on the left side of the equation we have a variable and an integer. And on the right side of the equation we also have a variable and an integer. So there's nothing to distribute, there's nothing to combine, but we have variables on both sides. We have constants or integers on both sides. So we have to bring all our variables to one side and all our constants to the other. So I'm going to start off with taking this 7n and I want to move it over to the right side. So I'm going to subtract 7n on both sides. Remember, looking at the original problem, if there's no sign in front of it, that means it's a positive sign or a plus. So what's the opposite of plus? Minus or subtraction or negative. It's all the same. Okay, so once we do that, the only thing we have left over on the left side is negative 5. On the right side, if you take 10n minus 7n, you're left with 3n. And then we also have this plus 13 that we want to drop down. Okay, so now we're back in business. This is our 2-step equation that we've been so used to seeing, right? So what I want to do now is bring this 13 over to the left side. And the opposite of adding 13 is subtracting 13. So we're going to subtract 13 on both sides. And that gives us negative 18 on this side here. Remember, negative minus 13. So negative 5 minus 13 is really saying negative 5 plus a negative 13. They're the same sign. So we want to add them together and keep the sign. Okay, then we're going to drop down our 3n. Okay, so these two lines are down here because we're going to divide both sides by 3. That's how we solve or isolate, and we get n equals negative 6. Okay, so that's how you do a problem with variables on both sides. All right, let's take a look at another example. Okay, this is very similar to what we just did. The numbers are different, the variable's different, but our goal still is to solve for the variable. So you've got 8y plus 4 equals 11y plus 7. Okay, again, I've got variable constant. Variable, constant. So I want to get all my variables on one side, all my constants on another side. I'm going to subtract 8y on both sides. So that leaves me with 4 on the left side. These guys go away. 8y minus 8y is 0. They go away. And then we have 11y minus 8y, which gives me 3y. And then I'm going to drop down my plus 7. Okay, next I want to bring this 7 over to the left side. So I'm going to subtract 7 on both sides. And I get negative 3. So be careful here. This is a little different than the last one because this is 4 minus 7. 4 minus 7 is the same as saying 4 plus a negative 7. And when I do that, I have different signs. So I have to take the difference and take the sign of the larger absolute number. So negative 3 is what I'm left with over here. So negative 3 equals 3y. I'll get divide both sides by 3. And I get y equals negative 1. It's a good time to pause if you have a question and send me a message. Or pause and take some notes, okay? You should be taking notes kind of the whole time, but... Alright, now, we're going to go into slightly harder problems now where we're adding another step. So, I have parentheses in this problem. So, I have 5 times the quantity of 2x plus 1, and all of that's equal to 11x. So, I need to, what's the first step? Starts with D. I need to distribute. So I'm going to take this 5 and I'm going to multiply it by 2x, take the 5 and multiply it by 1. I'm sorry I can't show you the arrows because I'm not at school, but normally I would make an arrow from the 5 to the 2x and the 5 to a 1, okay? So when I take 5 times 2x, I get 10x, 5 times 1 and I get 5. And then I'm just going to drop down my plus 11 or my 11x. Okay, now I need to move this. Notice how there's a variable here and a variable here. This is still a two-step equation. Even though before we had 2 constants, now we have 2 variables. It's the same idea. We're going to take this 10x. I'm going to move it over to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 10x on both sides. And actually this works out really nice because I have 5 on this side. And then 11 minus 10 is 1. Which is just plain old x. 1x is the same as x. Okay? Alright, next one. Okay, this is the whole kit and caboodle here. This has got everything going on. So I have 6x plus 2 equals 2 times the quantity of 3x plus 1. I can't do anything on this first side, so I'm bringing all of those down. But on the right side, I could distribute this 2 to the 3x and to the 1. Okay? So when I do that, like I said, I brought down this 6x plus 2. I brought it down. If I take 2 times 3x, I get 6x. And then 2 times 1 equals 2. Hopefully you're saying, I don't understand what's going on here. They're both the same. So if you were to go to solve this problem, it wouldn't actually really work out. Well, actually it would work out, but because you have the same thing on the left side as you do on the right side, you can't really solve it because any answer would work. So the answer to this problem is actually all real numbers. So no matter what I plug into x, it's going to work on both sides, right? If I plug in a 2 right here, I get 12 plus 2, which is 14. Same thing here, 12 plus 2, 14. 14 equals 14, that's true. So the answer to this one is actually all real numbers. Okay, that's just kind of like a special situation. All right, last thing I want to take a look at is an example of a geometry example. So I've got a rectangle down here, and kind of ignore these shapes for right now. I have this rectangle here where one of the sides is 2x and the other side is x plus 4. I want to find the perimeter of the rectangle. So if you remember, perimeter is when we add all the sides together. Okay, so I've got 2x here, which means right across from it is also 2x. I've got x plus 4 over here, which also means that on across the side across from it is x plus 4. So when I add all the sides together, I have 2x here plus 2x here plus x plus 4 here, and x plus 4 here. Okay, now, combining like terms, that's all we're doing here. We're not solving anything. We're just finding an expression that matches up with the perimeter. And so I put a circle around everything that's a like term. So 2x, 2x, x, x, those are all like terms. So they all see how they have a blue circle around it. And then I put this orange triangle around the 4's because they're just numbers, so they're like terms. So when you add 2x plus 2x, you get 4x, plus another x is 5x, plus another x is 6x. That's where the 6x comes in. And then 4 plus 4 is 8, and voila, there you have the perimeter of the rectangle. Okay? So now I can say to you, find the perimeter of the rectangle when x equals 6. And then you plug 6 in for x. Find the perimeter of the rectangle when x equals 11. You plug 11 in for x, and then you simplify it. Okay? So that is today's lesson in a nutshell. Your homework is page 134, 11 to 29 odd. You should have some time right now to start that in class. If you are an at-home learner, you need to take a picture of that and upload it to this Google assignment. And if you are a school learner at school, you're going to turn it in tomorrow to me, okay? All right, like I said, if you have any questions, email me, send me a message to the stream. Have a good one.